So I would like to start off today talking with you all about why it's important when you're working with someone who is in the process of dying, why it's important to practice what I call experience near empathy. And I differentiate between the typical kind of empathy that everybody talks about, you've probably learned about just in the course of growing up, and experience near empathy. What is experience near empathy? Regular kind of empathy, can anybody tell me what you think about when you think about empathy? Yes, most of you think things like empathy is putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, imagining how you'd feel if you were them, right? And that's really great. That's what we do with our friends. That's what we do with our loved ones, and that's what we want other people to give to us. But think about this for a moment. Let's see, do I have a color? So you've got a color here. What color is that? Is it green? How many of us could agree that the color on the board is some flavor of green? Okay, so how do you know when you say, yes, I agree with you, Dr. Emerson, that's green? How do you know that we are all looking at the same thing, and what you think green is the same thing that I think green is? How do we know? How do you know that when you call that green and I call it green, I'm not actually thinking that it's purple, what you think purple is? But we've all decided on this word to describe a concept, and we've agreed that it's green. But you never know for sure that my eyes see the same thing that your eyes see, and that my heart, my feelings, my intellect see and comprehend the same thing that your heart, feelings, and intellect contemplate. So it is when we try to reach into the experience of another human being. Empathy is when I say, oh, you see green? So do I. And I know what green looks like, so we're on the same wavelength. We all know what green looks like. Experience near empathy is when I say, okay, I know what green looks like. Green looks like this to me, and it looks like that to me because of all the things that I have been through the course of my life. My parents taught me what green looked like. And then I had peers, and I played on a sports team, and I went to that particular school, and I got my heart broken at that particular date, and got super disappointed in that particular thing. And all of those things come together to tell me what green is. So I say, okay, this is what green is to Staci, and I'm going to take green, I'm going to put it over here. I can see it out of the corner of my eye, what green is, but I'm not going to concern myself with it. It's just going to stay there in my peripheral vision, sitting on a shelf. So let's say Jason wants to tell me about what green looks like to Jason. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get out of my little body, and I'm going to go over and I'm going to sit down where Jason is sitting. And I'm going to let go of everything I know about what Staci thinks green is, and I'm going to listen in such a way that I understand that to Jason, green actually looks like what purple is to me. I'm going to let go of all the concepts that hold Staci and green together, and I'm going to get inside of Jason and see green from behind his eyes. That's experience near empathy. Why is that important? Well, if you're going through the process of dying, and someone like, say, a therapist is going to sit with you through that process, and I'm talking about, let's say, a year of the process of dying, and all the different things that a person will go through in that year's time. You have never been there before. You know how I know you've never been there before? Because you're still sitting here, because you're not dead. So I know you've never gone through the process of dying yet. That means that you might have all these ideas about what dying is going to feel like. You may have had a dream, or you saw a movie, or maybe you've even, gone through your own near-death experience, and so you have an idea of what dying is. I'm going to ask you to put it over here. Recognize that you're a human being and you have all these ideas that came from all of your early life experience, where you went to school, who your parents were, who broke your heart, where you were disappointed, where you thought you were really the man or the woman. You're going to put it over here, and you're going to get into the experience of the person that you're sitting with. And you're going to understand what grief feels like to them, what rage feels like to them, what sadness feels like, what regret feels like, what slipping away, becoming ether, moving into nothingness, seeing a light, experiencing joy from a state of detachment, experiencing a sense of I'm here and I'm also in the past and I'm also in the unknown, all simultaneously. If you're wedded to your idea of what dying is going to look like, you will never be able to sit in the experience of what you've yet to experience. The only way to do that effectively is if you're willing to divorce yourself from what you know, move into another person's experience and see it from behind their eyes, from within their body that is suffering and beginning the process of decaying and drifting away. To be in their mind as they describe it. And to see green, even if it looks like purple to you. That's what it means to be a death midwife. It means to fully give yourself over to the experience of dying from behind someone else's eyes. Tell me, when you think about where you're going to be when you die, I know this from research. I know that everybody in the room, if I asked you when you're going to die, all of you, if you tell me something different, I'll know that you're lying, because I know what all the statistics show. All of you in the room think that you're probably going to die around 88 years old. And you think that you're going to die at 88 in your sleep with friends and family who love you, who have spent a whole life supporting you. They'll all be around, probably holding hands, discussing memories and how much they're going to miss you. And maybe you'll drift off peacefully, maybe on a morphine drip, or maybe you won't even need it. You'll drift off peacefully and move into some other world or some unknown place, or whatever your religious values are, you'll go there. That's what most of us think dying is like. Guess what? The likelihood that that's how you're going to die is less than 5%. That means that maybe 5 people in this room right now, are going to die that way. So what happens to the other 95% of us? Well, the other 95% of us are going to go either quickly and you get hit by a bus, or eaten by a shark, or you die in a car accident instantly, or you die in a plane crash, or in a fiery building. And if you're one of those, then you won't need anyone to follow you through that process because you won't even know what's happened. What about everybody else? Everybody else will probably die long before you expect it. Maybe you'll get a diagnosis at 52, not 87, not 90, 52. Maybe you'll get that diagnosis and it'll blow your mind and you won't believe it and you won't know how to handle it. The rest of you who don't fit into those 2 extreme categories that I just described, the rest of you will be blown away at the process of your death. And it's those people that need our help. And if I am fortunate enough to be one of those people, I'd much rather have that than get eaten by a shark. If I am fortunate enough to be one of those people, I want somebody who doesn't tell me what green looks like. I want somebody who will hold my hand, walk into the darkest, most confusing, chaotic, insane places inside me. I want someone who will do that with me, and they will learn what green looks like from behind my eyes. Wouldn't you like that as well? That's why we need to learn how to give experience near empathy. Letting go of yourself, putting all of who you are. We can't fully let go of it. Anybody says that they can do that, they don't know what they're talking about, and they're not telling the truth. Because we can never completely let go of ourselves, but we can practice the art of leaving it over here in our peripheral vision, giving ourselves over to being with another person fully. We are, at least I think, because I've never really been able to get in the eyes of a dog or the eyes of a fish, but what we know from research is that the human being, because we have these phenomenal aspects in our brain called mirror neurons, and basically, in a very easy nutshell, what a mirror neuron is it is the capacity for you to, excuse me, look at how many of you just yawned. Why do we do that? Because human beings have the capacity to pay attention to another person and be so close to their experience in our brains that we actually experience what they're experiencing. When I just yawned right there, the reason many of you just shifted in your chair, some of you yawned, some of you woke up a little bit, because you were feeling what I was feeling. That's how tuned in and connected to me you are right now, because you're listening and you're with me on the same wavelength. So those mirror neurons that we human beings have give us an uncanny capacity to not only hold on to our own experience, our own individual feelings and thoughts, but also to fully experience, not just intellectually as an abstract concept, but to fully experience in our bodies, in our emotions, in our neurotransmissions, and therefore the chemicals and hormones that make us feel. We have the ability to fully feel what another person feels, to see purple from behind their eyes when we're talking about green. That's what we human beings have the capacity to do.